Welcome to the Variety Hour on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Listen to you move your mouth. I bet you come from way down south. Now don't tell me, let me guess. You from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good. Talk Memphis, high on the bluff. I swear I can't get enough. Listening to you talk that stuff. Talk Memphis, oh yeah. Talk Memphis.
This is the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Dean Harris. I am with CrestCore Realty over on Summer Avenue. I appreciate you guys tuning in this morning. Thank you for listening on AM 990 Memphis, FM 107.9, or online at kwam990.com. So we appreciate you streaming us if you're doing that, or listening on your local radio dial. The Memphis Real Estate Hour, guys, will concentrate on investing in Memphis real estate, and we will focus on our residential real estate market as well from time to time. I will have local and national vendor partners of ours on the show, sharing their knowledge on how to become an investor, or how to become a better investor, or a new investor here in Memphis. Today, I will have an investment of the week. It's two great properties that you'll want to check out and listen to. They are occupied, cash-flowing properties, so I'll be able to introduce those to you. Also, I want to invite you to go to our website, www.crestcorerealty.com. All of those investments of the week are posted on the show or on the website, and you can be able to check them out there at your leisure. I remind you guys every single show that I am an investor, so if you have that old home that you need to sell quickly, I don't care what the condition is, I don't really care where it's at, give me a call, email, text, whatever's easiest for you, and I'll get you a cash offer on that home today. Email is dean@crestcore.com, and my phone number is 901-619-6170. We're on Facebook Live, guys. If you want to go to the show's Facebook page, you can join us on Facebook Live, and you can check out our new killer sign we got in here today, so I'm pretty excited about that. But you can go there and you see all the past shows, too. So if you had some questions about a past show that you heard, they are all posted on there for your viewing pleasure. Last week on the show, Dan Butler and I discussed part one of the Contractor Triangle. We got some really, really, really good feedback on that. It's one of the better, I guess, responses that we've received on any show and any of the content. So I'm really excited about that to get into part two today. And like I said earlier, we'll have the investment of the week at the bottom of the hour. So let's jump right into that, Dan. Welcome to the show, bud.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. A little jet lagged, but
you are. Tell me a little bit why you're jet lagged. I know you took a trip up to the Mid-Atlantic Real Estate Summit in Philly. Tell me a little bit about that before we dive into this.
Oh man, it was awesome. You know, I think Dave Van Horn, he's on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that good stuff. He invited me to be on a couple panels out there and talked about turnkey versus turnkey alternative, and
yep.
Talked about REOs and foreclosures and different ways to buy property. So it was just an awesome conference. You know, I think, as I sat there in the conference, I was like, one of my goals, you've always heard me say, any speaker, anybody I'm listening to, I try to learn one thing.
That's right.
I don't care if they're a newbie
to
50 years in the business. I try to take one thing away. And, I think the three things that I got out of that conference was, it was the most different conference I've ever been to, because he had chose a ton of people to come that were selfless people.
Giving.
Yep. Like serving others. Like, so there wasn't any pitching, like, and it's been on the signs up front, it said no pitching, no BS.
Yeah.
And it was truly that. Like, people were just out there pouring their hearts, showing where they messed up, showing what they would do differently, showing how they would do certain things. And to me, it just was a different vibe.
It's amazing what you can learn from that.
Oh man,
hearing people's mistakes and have them being honest with you.
Versus some of the conferences we go to, they're selling their product.
Yeah.
And that's all they're really thinking about. They're trying to figure out how to every time pitch their product. Every time every time they get the chance. Oh, by the way, you can get our product, which does X, Y, and Z. And and then the other thing that a couple of other things that I learned was just, going deeper with a smaller group of people, versus casting your net really wide.
Right.
And, I think we've intentionally do that at CrestCore. Like if you look at our client base, versus people of comparable size, we might have 600 clients, whereas our competitors have almost 2,000.
Right.
And we're intentional in that because we want to go deep with a smaller group of people.
Yeah.
And
I preach that every day to investors.
And it was amazing to see that plays out when I was listening to others talk about, there's a ton of people that loan money, that, do contracting and different stuff, and they go deep with a smaller set of people. And so they really get to know Dean
Right.
and help Dean get to the next level.
A deeper net versus a wider net.
Yeah, and it was just reinforced that. And then the other one that I would suggest for people was just go one step deeper in questions. And what I mean by that is when you're meeting somebody and you're trying to learn about, say I was trying to learn about notes, and I'll give a shout out to Dave about this book if anybody hasn't read it. It just came out, Note Investing by Dave Van Horn, and it's his whole story. And, it really talked about his whole story from the time he bought his first rental to now he's got a $300 million note business. $300 million. So, and that just started, he just started the note, probably 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But, but with the one step further in question, what I meant by that was just, when we're talking to clients, hey, who else do you know in Memphis, investing in Memphis? Or if you're talking to somebody wanting to do a note, who else do you know that does notes? And just see where that conversation leads. Oh, I know Billy Bob, who just did a $500,000 note that did blah, blah, blah. I bet he would love to talk to you about.
Keep digging.
Just not with like, what do you, so much to get out of it, but maybe somebody you could help and somebody that you could just connect with and help each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it was awesome.
Sounds like you had a good time.
It was a good time.
That's great.
It was awesome.
Good. So last week we talked about the Contractor Triangle.
A lot of debate on this one, boy. Get back to the office.
Yeah.
What Douglas say? He wants them all.
Yeah, he did. I have a little bit of that mentality too, but price, speed, and quality is our Contractor Triangle. And one thing that you stressed is that you can pick two. You can't have all three of those. We talked about, if price and speed, what happens to your quality,
right.
Or price and quality, and then what happens to the speed, or if you get speed and quality, what happens to the price. So we dove into that last week on the show. We posted that on the show's Facebook page, the Memphis Real Estate Hour on Facebook. I would encourage you to go back and listen to that show. Listen to kind of, we didn't debate, but go back and forth on why you can't have all three, right? And yes, we did. After the show, we went into
that was fun.
Yeah,
our meeting. And,
yeah. Well, and Douglas is coming from a good spot. It's you. We strive for perfection.
Right.
You'll never get it, but you're not going to come close if you don't ever strive for it. So,
I think that's where we kind of landed, even in our where we started with 2 out of the 3. We want all 3, but it's going to be. It's just going to be a shrunk triangle where you're going to get all 3, but it's going to be a balance. It's not going to be, I think we use the word absolute, where absolute lowest price, absolute highest speed.
Yep.
You can't, it's not going to be absolute. Does that make sense?
So that's kind of what we were discussing last week. You can have 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
In most cases, if you get 3 out of 3, call me after the show so we can find out what that is.
What's that secret sauce? Bring it on.
That's right. If you have that, please let us know. But so today's part 2: how to save yourself from contractors. Dan, when people or when we reference how to save yourself, what do we mean by save yourself from contractors?
I feel like I spend a ton of my time talking to people that have just been taken by contractors, and I've been one of those guys. And that's
we
why
all have at some point.
Yeah, and that's why we started our maintenance company several years ago to kind of counterbalance that, because we just couldn't get what we needed. As far as just somebody, you could get somebody to do 90% of the work, but they wanted 100% of the pay. You know what I mean? And you could never get the 10% done. That was a constant problem.
Not finishing jobs.
Yeah.
They would literally go and do 90% of the job and then wouldn't complete it.
Correct. And you're just hounding them for weeks and weeks because they've got 90% of their money. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when we had to, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but just how to pay them, because you don't pay them. If you pay them a certain way, you're going to set yourself up for. You can prevent a lot of that stress on the back end.
What are some of the things you would go to first to try to either vet a contractor or some of the things you should look for right away? I mean, this is basic stuff now, guys. So,
sure.
I mean, we're going to get a little bit more complex, but for your new investors, if you're listening, this is extremely important. For your experienced investors, this could still be important because you might be out there getting taken at every single job. Yeah.
Well,
so what are some of the things you do? You try to vet these contractors with.
And I'm gonna have a story this weekend. Some ladies in Philly I met that just when I was talking through some of this kind of stuff, their eyes just got huge because they were going through this exact same issues. They didn't know. But anyway, we'll get to that. I'll save that example for later. But and this kind of plays in. I'd ask for references first.
First thing.
Who have you worked for? What kind of jobs have you done? Where can I go see your jobs? And really dig in and not just take it face value that I'm a GC and and a lot of people say they're GC, and that we'll get to that too, and they're not.
Right.
They're a man in a truck, which is totally fine. As long as you understand that, and a man in a truck could have some great work, but go see that work and also ask for people they've worked with. Did they finish the job that 100%? Do they, and that sounds so basic, and that's why I just started with that number one.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee, I bet 8 out of 10 don't do that.
Don't ask where.
Don't ask
who you worked for.
Who have you worked for? What's some jobs? Can you send me some pictures or a video of some previous work or
that you would hire somebody for a big job or any job,
and just go on face value.
Go off of your first initial contact with them.
Mm.
It's amazing.
It happens more than you think.
That's craziness.
I mean, I would say the majority happens that way.
People just get on the phone, talk to Johnny, and he's got his truck and his saw and his hammer, and he's coming to work on your house.
That's right. And you don't know anything. I mean, that's why what is that? Angie's List.
Yeah.
Things like that have got started. There's a lot of but people don't go check that stuff.
Never
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They never do. They don't get the references. So that's hammer that home. You got to get that. I mean, it's not just GC. Your property manager, your agent.
Yep.
Go look up Dean and see what kind of.
I tell you what, I get that a lot. I mean, and that's fine, but I get that a lot. Hey,
references.
Can you have any other investors that you've worked with that wouldn't mind me talking to them? Sure.
Yeah. But out of the this I love to poll you and ask, and I'll give the same. Out of say 20 people you talk to, how many people ask that?
One, maybe a half.
I was gonna say half or one myself.
Yeah, very rarely do I get. I mean, I get it, but I very rarely do I get. Hey, do you mind if I talk to some of your other investors that you've worked with? Do you mind if I do? I mean, I have those guys that are willing to talk to you, but I very rarely get that. So, in the contractor's world, it's almost to me a necessity. I mean, you've got to vet who is performing on your house. So, ensure that they're licensed, bonded, insured. I love to hear you and your man in the truck stories. I mean,
bags of receipts and
right.
Just hitting on the.
He's got them in his
tenants.
wallet. He's got them in his wallet.
The whole wad of receipts in his wallet and
hitting on the tenants. You get that?
I had that too. Yeah,
Man.
Years ago. That was bad.
Yeah, because that makes it. I mean, that's
you in a bad spot.
Put you in a
really
real
bad spot.
You put that person in the home.
Yep.
So the tenant's going to hold.
Tenant's going to hold me responsible for who I sent to that house. So, I think licensed, bonded, insured is huge, especially in today's litigious, if I say that right, society. We have more attorneys per capita in the U.S. than any other country in the world. Did you know that?
I think we've actually said that on this show.
Have
before.
We? Okay.
Yeah.
It's we need to get the exact number, but we have more attorneys in the U.S. than any other country in the world because the way our laws, our culture, and the way our laws are set up, it's so easy to sue.
Yeah.
We can get sued just because we want to sue.
Yeah. And
it's up to you to have to defend it and pay. You could totally be in the right, but you got to pay to defend. So, all that to say, and then just don't say just because they say they're licensed, bonded, insured. Get some proof. Get some sort of.
Right. Can I see that information?
We for us, for and then for a GC, make sure their subs are at least bonded and insured. They're not going to be licensed.
No, but they need the insurance.
I take that back. A GC, you got the GC who's going to be licensed, bonded. Then you got the subs, a framer type, flooring. That's not going to be a licensed person.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a license for the sub underneath the GC for that. But an HVAC guy is, a plumber is.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that they're using. You could have a nice GC. I've seen this too, and then you have subs they're using. There's a guy I know that does fire damage work.
Yep.
And he's got his GC license, but he uses a guy from FedEx
to do it,
to do HVAC work on the side.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's setting yourself up, and he's doing that because he's creating a bigger spread for himself. There's a reason
he
behind.
Want to pay the sub as much.
You don't want to pay. He's paying that sub say $15 an hour instead of $60.
Mm-hmm.
So he's taking a huge margin, but he's setting yourself up for a lot of exposure because
lawsuits, legal stuff.
That guy doesn't have as much. The FedEx guy doesn't have as much to lose as somebody who's got his own business, running around with trucks and people and all that stuff. So for us, one thing that we've learned, and this is we didn't used to do this, so bear that in mind. I'm preaching to myself. We either get workers' comp coverage or workers' comp exemption.
Mm-hmm.
There's sites online. You go get your exemption. You can get and we set them up with a State Farm type policy. That they pay for liability, and then we actually go get a business license, so that they actually have a business. So it all ties together. So
it's protecting you.
That's protecting us, keeping a distance, keeping a layer between you and your company.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can still get sued, but
always
at least they have insurance to cover. If they did something wrong at the house, they're in it with you.
Yeah.
Guys,
I'm talking to Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty. This is part 2 of the Contractor's Triangle, how to save yourself from contractors today. Workers' comp exemption, insurance, business license, have to operate with no cash on the front end. Explain that.
Which part? The don't have
to
cash?
Operate with no cash on the front end.
Yeah, so you don't want to be in my opinion, in somebody that needs cash every day.
Yeah, why is that?
It'll wear you out.
Yeah,
it'll wear you out.
It screams poor business.
Well, it's just, and yeah, that's right. They don't have, they can't buy their own materials. As soon as they finish that job, within an hour, they're coming to you.
Yeah,
and won't get paid.
Yep.
I just argue. The conference. That was another thing the conference really taught me. It's kind of a tangent, but they were giving an example like Home Depot charges $60 to deliver, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like, how much is your time worth? How much would you put? Just out of curiosity, what would you say your time's worth?
An hour?
Mm-hmm.
Couple $100.
Yeah, I would say 500.
I would say at least.
From just out of the box, that's what
I know that sounds crazy, but
it sounds crazy. But just
what I do during
the value
every day,
creation. So
I'd say several $100.
So, all that to say, again, a tangent here. What's the smallest thing that you would pay for at Home Depot versus you going to get it for that sub?
Yeah. But there is nothing that I'm not going to get it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
like me,
absolutely.
myself?
That's exactly where I'm going.
Yeah, I'm not going.
You're not going.
I don't care if it's a.
So this guy showed an example. It was awesome. $60, 60 cents. 60 less than $1 worth of screws they needed to finish a job. He wasn't going to get it. He paid Lowe's Home Depot $60 to deliver it to the job site so his guys could finish the job and get out of there and get the punch lists and move on.
Because it would take them an hour and 20 minutes.
Hour and 20 to go get that 60 cents in a bag.
Piddle around.
That's right. Piddle around, go back. And so, but if you had the right people, you wouldn't get yourself into that situation,
But if you don't, it can cost you dearly.
Correct.
No, I'm following you. No, I wouldn't go get it either. I think, and I got to credit you for helping me think like that. I got another guy I used to work with that, helped me get into that mode of, hey, you got to hire people.
Worth?
Yeah, man, you got to hire people. You got to spread yourself out a little bit and concentrate on some certain areas. But,
and so to take that a step further, we have people submit on Tuesdays and we pay them the following Friday. So that gives us time. They submit their bid. They're saying they're done, and that's our trigger to do one final punch list check, and we won't pay them until that punch list is done.
And that's good for several reasons. You're dealing with a good contractor who has a solid business plan going. He doesn't have to have that money right this second. 2, like you just mentioned, it gives you enough time to verify the work and the quality of it for a couple of days. I mean, we can all put some duct tape on something and hold it, but I mean, it gives you some time to verify that work.
Yep.
And I think it helps you build a strong, a base. What I'm trying to say is like, you can stand up on a mountain and say, hey, we can go do this, we can do this, we can do this. But if you don't have those type of subs and those type of people working under you, it is going to expose you. So we're trying to help you prevent a little bit of that today. I've got Dan Butler here in the studio. We're talking about the Contractor's Triangle. Today is part 2 on how to save yourself from contractors. So we're going to take a real quick break. We're going to come back and talk about itemized bids. We're going to dive into this a little bit further, how you receive updates on the rehab. So you guys stay tuned. You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on 107.9 The Voice.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. We'll be right back after this.
Now, here's Mid-South weather from News Channel 3's Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by the Crescent Club, hosting the people and ideas that moved Memphis forward for nearly 30 years. Poplar and I-240. Call for a free tour at 901-684-1010.
Patchy fog this morning, giving way to mostly cloudy skies this afternoon. High temperatures climbing into the upper 60s, light winds out of the north. Mostly cloudy with some gradual clearing overnight, low 50s by daybreak. And under mostly sunny skies, clouds will return late Wednesday afternoon with a chance of rain by tomorrow night. Come see ESP Insurance, your local Safeco Insurance representatives for home, auto, and business insurance. Call 901-272-2244. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, PLLC, is a full-service law firm with over 50 years of experience in the Memphis area. Real estate closings have continued to be the forefront of their law practice, which include residential, commercial, and development real estate transactions, drafting and negotiation of real estate contracts and leases, business information, preparation of wills, probate, and estate planning. Their firm represents a number of builders, developers, investors, and local lending institutions, and is approved to close transactions for most local banks and mortgage companies. In addition, they offer title search, title examination services, and title insurance through several well-established title insurance companies in the Memphis area, as well as Tennessee and Mississippi. They strive to offer services in a prompt and timely fashion while advising and representing clients in a zealous and professional manner. Should their offered services be of need, please contact William N. Griffin Jr. or any of their attorneys at 901-752-1133. They can also be found online at www.gcemlaw.com or on Facebook.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludi Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8 and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
CBS Money Watch.
Google's parent company Alphabet is reporting a huge surge in first quarter profit to $9.4 billion. Solid ad growth from Google and YouTube helped boost worldwide sales to more than $31 billion. Sears and Kenmore may be getting closer to ending a very long partnership. Sears' biggest shareholder has suggested the company sell its Kenmore brand and home improvement business. The struggling retailer has survived 2 world wars and the Great Depression, but in recent years has lost thousands of customers to Target, Walmart, and Amazon. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
To prevent muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This fast-acting foam is clinically proven to relieve leg and foot cramps. Get TheraWorks Relief today at select Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid pharmacies or TheraWorksRelief.com. Ask your pharmacist for TheraWorks Relief.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
Hi, welcome back to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. Just heard that news on Sears, man, during the break. It's crazy, isn't it?
Just creative destruction. You ever heard that term?
Creative destruction? No.
Yeah, just they didn't go with the times.
Yeah, that's one thing I
and
said.
so
They didn't adjust.
You got to adjust. Netflix is a great story. They self-imploded themselves with the sending out the DVDs.
Yeah.
And went straight to streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And if they hadn't done that, they would have been gone. But now they're one of the strongest people out there for streaming video.
We'll get on this in a second, but I've got to tell you, didn't Blockbuster had an opportunity to buy Netflix?
I think so.
For like $50 million, which is
crazy,
dirt cheap. Now they're worth $4.5 billion.
There's a couple Blockbusters left.
There's one.
You know where that is?
It's in Wisconsin.
No.
Where's it at?
Alaska.
I follow them on Twitter. You want a good laugh?
Oh, it's fantastic.
You've seen it?
What? What are you talking about?
Great.
On Twitter, there's one more Blockbuster, like you said, and the staff there has a Twitter account.
Oh my gosh,
man, it's funny. I mean, they talk about it. Go follow. I don't know why I'm plugging this, but go follow the last Blockbuster on Twitter. It is hilarious stuff.
I have to admit, I've never done Twitter, so maybe I need to adjust.
You haven't adjusted with the times, then.
I need to adjust with the times.
Friend, all these young kids.
Same thing with Instagram, right? Like
I do Facebook.
Do you Instagram?
Yeah, I do Facebook and Instagram, but I don't.
I thought that was a girl thing.
No, it's not.
I get myself in trouble.
yeah.
Because I go get my Instagram. Yeah.
Dan's getting hate email.
I did the what is the other one? Pinterest.
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, I did that one time, and I was like, wait a second, I'm the only guy on here.
Yeah, you were.
I was. I'm sure there's probably plenty now,
Yeah,
but back several years ago.
No, I don't think so. I think you probably still be the only guy on Pinterest. That's a definite female thing, I believe.
$50 million. $50 million.
It's what they offered.
They offered is what they could have bought Netflix for.
Right. I know. It's 50.
Like the offer was on the table, and they said, "No, we're good.
We're good." Now it's worth $4 billion.
Anyway, we digress.
All right. Yeah. Investments of the week, guys. I've got two of them here. Get your pens and papers out. 1,000 block of Colleen in 38111. Great rental area. 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's occupied for $525, and this one is listed for $41,900. Great little area over there in 38111, Highland View subdivision. Really good rental pocket. These always stay rented. 1,000 block of Parkland in 38111. Another 2-bedroom, 1 bath. This one's actually rented for a little bit more, $650, and it's a little bit less expensive, it's $36,900. So one way to look at this is a package deal, guys. For 77 grand, 75, 77 grand, somewhere in there, you're getting about, what is it, $1,175 in rent. So that's one way to look at this. You can get a package deal, $1,175. You're around $700 or $70,000 in total cost. So if you have any questions on any of these investments of the week, go to CrestCoreRealty.com and you can check out not only these but all my other listings. Dan, looked yesterday, we're up to 93 active. 93 active investment listings. So if you guys have got, I've got any price range, small, big, medium, whatever you want.
Hey, get our listeners. Let's get over 100.
Let's do it. Anybody got anything to sell? Let me know.
Time to sell.
We're pumping them out.
The people in Philly were coming up to me left and right. Memphis.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I get it every day. As soon as I think, man, there's nobody else in this country that wants to invest in Memphis, I get 4 more new calls.
Oh, it's not stopping anytime soon.
No, I know that it didn't. Dan and I are talking about our Contractor Triangle. This is part 2, how to save yourself from contractors. We've talked about how you need to ask for references. I mean, that's the first thing Dan said is, who have you worked for? Mm-hmm. Go see their work. If they mention somebody you either know or you know where to go see, go check that work out. Make sure they're licensed, bonded, and insured. And if you can, dig a little deeper. Find out if their subcontractors are also licensed. Sometimes they won't be licensed, but they'll at least have insurance, right? So that's kind of the way you're looking at it. Let's talk about bids, itemized bids, blanket bid.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen them all.
Oh, yeah. Verbal.
Oh, man. man.
That's the best.
That makes my skin crawl.
I think that's about $2,000.
Yeah.
What you get? Oh, that covers everything.
You know, and I know somebody, we won't say his name, but I know somebody who does it like that.
Oh, for sure. I know plenty of people.
And he does a heck of a job, and he's generally accurate.
Right.
But he couldn't give you a piece of paper with anything written down on it.
No.
Couldn't.
My my favorite's the invoices that come in that are about this size.
Yeah.
You know, like a little piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, I would just say it's kind of like a tenant with like contractors. You know, you got to align yourself with what you want. Mm-hmm. You know, and so you got to pick your standard. If you're okay with a verbal, and that's how you're gonna roll, that's fine. But as you get bigger, that's not gonna work anymore.
All right, so here's a good one.
Yeah.
So this guy that I'm talking about, he did 25 jobs for this investor under 20 grand. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they were great. Great job.
Right.
Everything worked out fine. Good price. End result was good. Tenants were happy. So this client decided to buy a big flip, like $400,000, $500,000 house that needed $175,000 worth of work. So he allowed this guy to do this one too. And man, was it a mess. I mean, a hot mess. So he didn't ask the right questions. He trusted him on a certain product that he was providing, and that was working. So he jumped up into an area where this contractor was not comfortable, had never really done jobs this big. And what happened? Way over budget. Mm-hmm. Several things in the home that should have been picked up on the front end that needed to be done that weren't.
It's not documented.
It's
not he said, she said.
It's like, what do we do? So,
and that's why I feel like the line itemized bids, like when you get that bulk bid, either verbal or just a bulk bid that just says paint, flooring, carpentry, doors.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, well, I wasn't planning on that door.
I was using another door.
You know what I mean? Like you get in those kind of conversations.
That's what he ran into. Like, yeah,
I wasn't doing. I wasn't talking about that.
Yeah,
you know, or I wasn't gonna paint double coat. You know, like it just gets all. It's a very nebulous situation. So I can't tell you how many times I've ran into that with our clients. Just that, and you know, if you got a contractor, that's just the easy way out. They're just
trying to burn
and turn. You know, and that's. I mean, you and I getting some good, strong conversations about turn time around rehab bids, and I was like. My whole point to you is if a guy can turn around in a day, you got to be careful.
Yeah, I don't look for a day.
A day. You got some high standards.
Well, that's what you guys pay me for, Dan.
That's right. High standards are good.
That's right.
But
so itemized bids is something I would request and want. I mean, if they're coming up to you saying, "Hey, this is going to be 15 grand," I'd question that until the day was long.
Yep.
I would want some kind of itemized bid. Compare bids for high items. Sites like Home Depot, Lowe's. And see what some of the prices of these things are. I mean,
if a guy's quoting you flooring at $8 a foot, and it's just a standard tile, you can do a Google search on Home Depot and figure out that's really high. So
how do those contractors select parts?
How do they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of this equation. Is like, what kind of standards are you holding? Are they going to buy their light fixtures at Aldi at discount?
Right.
Which happens. That's so funny.
Really?
Yeah, they buy Aldi. There's parts you can buy. Like random stuff shows up, and they'll just go buy a bunch of it. $2 light fixtures and stuff like that. But you want to set that tone of what you want. I mean, that's probably another piece of this is just, don't just take what the contractor's going to give you.
Yeah.
Because he's going to every discount shop. That's where he's making up some of the margin.
If he's smart, he's going to find the cheapest product he can find.
And just saying, well, if I change that light fixture for you. Hey, I put in new cabinets. If you didn't select the cabinets you want and understand, is it pressed wood or plywood or, I don't know what all the kind of woods are.
You can knock on those cabinet doors and you can find out.
Yeah,
what that is.
Are they
hollow?
Hollow, yeah. I mean, so and that's so you save $300 on those cabinets, for example, and they're quote hollow or whatever. When water hits it, 2 years down the road, you're gonna have a mush pile of something, and you're gonna start all over. So you save the $300. You know?
How should we expect to receive updates from these guys? like when you say you've hired a contractor and he's out on the job, what kind, what's standard? What's good? What's bad? I mean, what kind of updates on a job should you receive?
I think I would say definitely at the least weekly. Mm-hmm. Some kind of weekly update. What's going on? Mm-hmm. That's something we've worked hard on, is trying to get a software to help us. I would ask the contractor what kind of technology they're using to track their jobs, and is it a piece of paper and a journal? And again, it could be fine if you're just doing one job here and there, and the guy, he's only doing. I've seen, like, we've got some subs we use, and if we give him more than 2 jobs at a time,
he's a mess.
He's a mess. He blows up. But his little system can work for 2 jobs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but not for 4.
But for us, I mean, I think this month we'll probably do 80 plus jobs this month. Mm-hmm. So we got to have robust systems in place to track all that stuff and, know the cost and have picture updates. And
if you're out there listening, I would expect calls, emails, pictures. I mean, I would look for at least a weekly update. I would visit the home if I'm, if you're an investor and you're just kind of starting out, this is your first one, I might be out there every day. But if you're down the road 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 houses and you're not receiving weekly calls or an email or pictures, I mean, at this day and age, the technology is so good. I mean, everybody's got a smartphone. I mean, he can certainly take pictures while he's on the job and send you an email. It takes 5 seconds. So if you're not getting some of those very, very simple updates from technology from these guys, you might want to either reconsider your contractor or have a serious talk with them. What's the verification process, Dan? Like, so when we go and you've seen you got a job that's done, and you go through the home. I mean, this was one of the things when I worked in new construction, selling new construction houses. I could build you a new construction house, right? I knew all the steps. Right. The problem I had was when it was done, being able to go through there and say, yes, this is right. So in other words, I could call out the landscaping guy to flatten us out. I could get our plumbing for rough plumbing. Right. I could lay the foundation. I knew the steps, but when the foundation was laid, how am I going to know that that's right? That's what I couldn't do. How could an investor go out and verify some of this work once it's been completed?
A couple things. Videos are awesome. Just to have somebody walk through and just show you a house, because it's pretty good picture quality. We use a 360 camera that you can zoom in and out with really bright light, which I know you love that thing because it's such good, such great quality.
It's awesome. I mean, on the back end of it, it's fantastic to show. And I mean, ideal state, if an investor is willing to pay for it, is to spend $150 to have I don't know what they call it. I think that's probably $150 for an inspector to come by and just take your scope of work, what you paid for, and have them go check that work. To me, that's the ultimate thing you'd want to do. Now, most people don't want to spend that money, right? Because they're doing volume and that kind of thing. But that would be, the way to trust but verify. To me, I think that's. But if you're using somebody that's worthwhile, at the very least, I would get some sort of high-quality pictures or a video. Something. Get something from them. Don't just take their word for it.
I mean, I've been to so many sites where you go and they say it's done, and it's like, man, this has got a long way to go.
Their version of done and your version of done are likely two different things.
Two different things.
It might not be a bad idea if you're not that experienced with it to take somebody with you.
True.
If third party can go. It might cost you a little bit more, but at least you can verify. All right, we're going to take another real quick break. We're going to come back and wrap up this part 2 of the Contractor's Triangle. We're going to get into how we're paying these contractors. To me, that's extremely important. You guys are listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on AM 990 Memphis.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. We'll be right back after this.
Now, here's Mid-South weather from News Channel 3's Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by the CrestCore Club, hosting the people and ideas that moved Memphis forward for nearly 30 years. Poplar and I-240. Call for a free tour at 901-684-1010.
Patchy fog this morning giving way to mostly cloudy skies this afternoon. High temperatures climbing into the upper 60s, light winds out of the north. Mostly cloudy with some gradual clearing overnight, low 50s by daybreak. And under mostly sunny skies, clouds will return late Wednesday afternoon with a chance of rain by tomorrow night. Come see ESP Insurance, your local Safeco Insurance representatives for home, auto, and business insurance. Call 901-272-2244. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers. On The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, PLLC, is a full-service law firm with over 50 years of experience in the Memphis area. Real estate closings have continued to be the forefront of their law practice, which include residential, commercial, and development real estate transactions, drafting and negotiation of real estate contracts and leases, business information, preparation of wills, probate, and estate planning. Their firm represents a number of builders, developers, investors, and local lending institutions, and is approved to close transactions for most local banks and mortgage companies. In addition, they offer title search, title examination services, and title insurance through several well-established title insurance companies in the Memphis area, as well as Tennessee and Mississippi. They strive to offer services in a prompt and timely fashion while advising and representing clients in a zealous and professional manner. Should their offered services be of need, please contact William N. Griffin Jr. or any of their attorneys at 901-752-1133. They can also be found online at www.gcemlaw.com or on Facebook.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludi Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8 and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, we're back. Dean took a little quick break. Just kind of summarize what we've been talking about. The ask for references, go see the work, get licensed and bonded guys to make sure they're doing the work. You know, even their subs, make sure you get the subs lined out to where they're licensed and bonded and insured, and got some workers' coverage. Itemized bids, huge. I think that's where a lot of people mess up because that's where it's going to feel bad on the back end. Hey, Dean. On the back end, if you don't have an itemized bid, because that's just going to leave you exposed because you don't know what really don't know what you're paying for. So,
hey, Dan,
anyway,
welcome back to the show, Dan.
Welcome back.
Appreciate
That's a first.
Appreciate you coming back in.
That's fun.
How are we going to pay? How are we going to pay this contractor? We're talking about Contractor Triangle. We have gone through, asking for references, seeing their work, making sure they're insured. We've gone through how you'll receive the updates on it, pictures, how technology can keep you
abreast and
what's going on,
verifying.
But how do we pay these guys? I've heard of 90 different ways.
Yeah.
The wrong way is to give them everything up front.
And would you believe that still happens today? I met two ladies in Philly.
Oh my gosh!
And I was giving a little seminar on turnkey investing, and we were sitting there, and I just said, number one, let me tell you, don't pay 100% up front. And her eyes just got huge. She's like, I just did that. Do you think I messed up?
Yes, you did.
I was like, I was trying to figure out how to nicely let her know you're gonna make it through this, but you better button up the other things that we're talking about today because you're gonna get yourself in trouble real quickly.
I know there's some examples, floating around the wholesaler world of some guys getting paid up front and not doing anything.
Right.
Or doing the bare minimum.
Right.
Cleaning up a house and basically letting that be it. But what are some of the ways? Like let's get specific. if you go and hire a guy for a job, let's say you're a new investor, you've got a couple of houses, or this is your first one, you meet your contractor at the home, you go through the house, he tells you it's going to be $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
You agree to hire him. What should you, this is a two-part question. What should you look for him to ask for? And what should you agree to pay? So there's two different ways to look at this. Like, because I'm assuming the contractor is going to give you his version or his thoughts on how he should be paid.
Mm-hmm.
What should we look for and listen for from that contractor, and then what should we actually be paying and how?
You know, I think a contractor's going to start at 100%.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to start at 0. You know, and I think it's I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, you're going to start at the extreme spectrums. Now, we kind of talked through that. I mean, if you're talking about a small job, you know, I think it should be 0. You know,
what's small? Under $2,500?
Yes, I had that yesterday. I'll give you a quick example. A guy was putting in some new windows, a new vendor for us, new windows, some siding, and it was like $2,500, maybe even less, $2,000. He's like, yeah. He sent me an invoice for 50%. He's like, dude. I was like, man. I said, I'm sorry. I was like, you know, we pay on time, we pay every Friday, but I don't really want to have time nor desire to pay you 50% to process it. I said, but I can give you any kind of reference you want to show that we pay every Friday. And he replied back, no, man, we're cool. You know, that's our standard for us. You know, if I don't know you, but I know you're, you know,
good for it
because of your references in town. So I'll order the windows today. And I said, and from my side, I said, I will go ahead and put your invoice in today so that the check is ready as soon as you're done.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
It's a good gesture from you, too. To
That's
show,
right.
Hey,
Good
we don't have any
win-win.
intention to not pay you.
Yeah. So, but where you probably want to land is somewhere in that 30% range. Up front. You know, we do things a little different for us, but it seems we try to limit the number of transactions. You know, a lot of people love that 30, 30, 30, 10.
10.
And my point is that 10 is the hardest. You work harder as the client on that 10%.
Yep.
I've seen it over and over.
See, if it's me, I want to leave more than 10% on the table for the guy. Because like you said earlier in the show, I mean, he might walk. He's made some money, unless it's just an enormous job. He can walk for the 10%.
I have a friend that the 10% was, maybe it was 20%, was like $8,000. The guy never came back and finished.
Yeah, see, and that's
crazy.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
But that's a huge pain
for everybody.
Yeah, now I got to go find somebody to finish. Well, they're going to come in and say, well, he didn't do a lot
X,
of this
Y, and
right.
Z, and they're going to try to charge you $12,000 because
for something
coming in a new job.
Yep.
So I strongly encourage people not to do the 10%. We personally do 60-40.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of that's because we deal with a lot of international investors, and we want to cover a huge portion of our costs. But as I tell people, you know, because we're a known entity, you know, if we were just starting up, it would be different.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking you for the other 40 till I'm 100% done, and I've sent you completion videos and pictures.
Sure.
And I've got, with the 40%, I've got a large carrot to get done.
Yeah.
Quickly as possible. You know what I mean? Like,
Every investor and client that I have that I tell that, they appreciate that.
Yeah.
They never say why. They want to, okay, here's 60%.
That's right. It works pretty well.
It does.
It's been a good system for us. But, you know, I think 30% is a very reasonable ask from a contractor, because that helps them buy the majority. They're going to spend 30% of the job on materials. So on that $15,000 job, they're going to spend somewhere close to $5,000 just in the materials to get it done. Just as a rule of thumb.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, there's some nightmare stories with this. I mean, you know, I hate to say this stuff to scare people, but there are nightmare stories of this where, you know, clients pay that 100% up front, or even 100% at closing. I mean, yeah,
100%. I'm okay with 100% at closing if you put it in escrow with the attorney.
I'm going through one of those right now on a roof.
Mm-hmm.
My seller, the roof is old.
Mm-hmm.
Buyer wants the roof to be replaced. House is occupied with a tenant. It's not leaking.
Mm-hmm.
So my seller's like, you know, why the heck do I want to replace the roof?
Right.
And then all of a sudden they walk at closing for whatever various reasons.
Oh, yeah.
All they forfeit is their $500 in earnest money.
And you spent $5,000
I
on
spent
a roof.
$5,000 on a roof that I didn't have to put on right now.
Yep. So is he putting in an escrow?
So we're holding it's $4,400 I think for the roof.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is close. We're going to line up City Light to start the day after closing. Make sure all the funds are there.
Yeah.
The attorney's going to hold the $4,200 or $300, whatever it is.
Until we show verification that we finished the roof.
We're going to start the roof, finish the roof. We'll send pictures to the attorney. The attorney will release the check. Everyone's safe that way. My seller receives his proceeds from the sale,
right?
Less the roof cost. The buyer client is assured that their roof is going to be put on right after closing. So
that's
safe.
Safe. That's very safe because an attorney's got a fiduciary responsibility to both sides.
Yeah, I've never met an attorney that just released money just for the heck of it.
No, it's got to be agreed upon.
Yeah,
and he's going to help try to mitigate that. The issues between the two.
That's right.
And so, I would argue if a seller is willing to put it in escrow, and the buyer is willing to accept that, that's a good partnership. That's a good win-win.
It is, and everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy.
My seller was a little upset he had to replace the roof because what he was thinking was, how am I going to do this? And then I brought up, hey, let's leave it with the attorney. We've done this 100 times.
Sometimes, yeah.
Let's leave it with the attorney, and I explained that. He's from Israel, and I explained that process to him, and he was,
he liked that.
He liked it, and so did the buyer. They were fine with it. So that's one way to do that.
That's a good point.
Tell me in summary, Dan, the last 2 weeks we've been talking about these contractors. I feel like we've beat these guys up a little bit. I feel like we've
I beat myself up
a little bit. I mean, it is what it is, though. I mean, this is part of it. This is a part of this process that is extremely important that you can lose your shorts on real quick. So, summarize this whole thing, for me from beginning to end. How would you, put this all into one little bottle and sell it?
Do your homework.
Yeah.
In summary, do your homework. Create a trust but verify type of system, so that you got steps along the way to trust and verify. People don't change. So if you've worked with a sub or a contractor and they're doing it this way, I mean, I can remember sitting down at breakfast with the guys that I used for years that would bring me those bags of receipts. I said, I can't do that anymore. We're too big, going too fast. Yeah. And it's like, either you got to change to this system that we're going to, or I can't use you anymore. And unfortunately, I couldn't use them anymore. So we're still friends.
But you just couldn't use
I couldn't use them. And so that's just keep that in mind, And then lastly, I'd say you get what you pay for.
Period.
I mean, I got an email right now. I got to respond. It's got me fired up right now. Just the mindset, that people just want it so cheap.
Yep.
On everything. It's like, no, you get what you pay for. There's cost for insurance. There's cost for workers' comp coverage. There's cost for your business license. There's cost for having cash to be able to pay for that.
Yeah.
All the parts up front and the software to send you pictures and videos and all that stuff. So, do I think, you in the investor world, do I think you should be paying retail prices? No, I think you need to find people that are used to dealing with investors.
That's right.
To get that discount you shouldn't be paying retail prices.
I would say that's one. No, you're right. And I would say the one thing as we're wrapping up here is, and you just said it, but you do get what you pay for, period. I mean, you're going to get what you pay for no matter what. So if there's anything you take out of this, take that out of here, is that you're going to get what you paid for.
Absolutely.
So, guys, thank you so much for listening, especially this two-part series. Go to the Facebook page, the show's Facebook page, The Memphis Real Estate Hour. I'm going to post this show here in a few minutes. If you have any questions, email me, dean@crestcore.com, and always go check out our website, www.crestcorerealty.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next Tuesday with Memphis Real Estate Hour.